Hey, what's up, y'all? My name is Stevie Matt, and today I'll be discussing Little Monsters. It was released on Hulu in 2019, and it was written and directed by Abe Forsyth. Welcome to It's Not That Deep. So just to be clear, this movie is not, to my knowledge, in any way related to the 1989 Fred Savage movie of the same name. And by my knowledge, I mean a quick glance at that movie Synopsis. It is also not, much to my chagrin, connected to Lady Gaga in any way, shape, or form. Not that I do now, nor have I ever identified as a little monster. I am obviously above such trivialities. Anywho, this is just a fun, whimsical comedy starring the ever-luminous Lupita Nyong'o, who spends the entire movie in a yellow sundress that is just absolutely stunning on her. She is just talented, brilliant, incredible, amazing, show-stopping, spectacular, never the same, totally unique. Wow, another Gaga reference? I'm sorry, I swear I'm not even a stan like that. It's just, the movie has the same name as what she calls her fans, and there's not even like a fun, cheeky reference to it. Instead, we have to deal with that insipid Taylor Swift song, which was honestly the most violent part of an already pretty violent movie. Speaking of stans though, now that I just threw some shade, let me go get my helmet and my shield. Oh no, y'all go on without me. This movie was super fun and adorable. I feel like after the zombie era of the early 2010s, where there were just, pardon my pun here, hordes of zombie movies and shows coming out, releasing a zombie movie now is always going to be a bold choice from here on out, and you really have to have an interesting direction for it. And I'm honestly surprised that, to my knowledge at least, nobody took the kids on a field trip angle until now. So as much as this really is just a regular zombie comedy, in the same vein as like Zombieland, it does, in my opinion of course, stand on its own as a pretty solid entry in the genre. Not that I'm like a connoisseur of zombie media or anything, it was honestly never truly my jam. I was much more into the vampire era that preceded it, vamps have always been my thing. No, we don't talk about sparkles. But what makes this movie so enjoyable though is that as much as it is a zombie movie through and through, it also does a great job of highlighting the effort it takes to truly be a good caretaker of children. Audrey insists that she's really not a superhero, she just takes her responsibility very seriously, but these aren't just your own one or two kids, you have a group of other people's children that you not only have to keep safe during a zombie outbreak that comes out of fucking nowhere, you also have to keep them both occupied and unaware that anything is going on. It's all a game and here's how you win. I hope she gets some bomb-ass rest after all this and double her pay, triple it even, because my God, but she does it. And I particularly love that scene where she pulls McGiggles close and lets him know.
My only responsibility is for these children's safety. I'm not going to let these children be traumatized by having them think a zombie is going to eat them alive. So,
okay, let him know. You are a professional kindergarten teacher and we ain't finna send these kids home all traumatized and shit if we can help it. And you finna help it, or so help you God. So yeah, just a big shout out to parents and guardians everywhere who really take their responsibility over children seriously. I mean, no one has had to keep an entire class of kindergartners safe and in line during a zombie outbreak. At least not to my knowledge, unless the government's not telling us something. But still, even on a regular old day, just keeping them and their little tumultuous ass emotions together through all their little regular everyday crises.
I wanna play Papa Castile!
It's just a feat worthy of a superhero. So much love to all the superhero parents out there, and little kiddos as well. I love kids, they're precious. Especially this one here, look at that face. But speaking of children, let's talk about Dave, the movie's ultimate man-child. So as much as Lupita really runs the show here, the movie is really actually about Dave, unfortunately. And it starts with non-stop screaming matches between him and his girlfriend. These two fight everywhere, right? In front of anybody, just full-on shouting matches any and every damn where. Clearly a match made in heaven, right? And in this sequence, you see her working and selling real estate and basically, functioning as an adult while he jerks off on the couch and does the whole street musician thing. Now let me just clarify that one is not inherently superior to the other, right? Shout out to all my artists out there who are doing whatever you can to get noticed, to express yourself, doing whatever you gotta do. And them street musicians be talented as hell sometimes. Sometimes. I mean sometimes. Because sometimes you get guys like Dave just ripping on an electric guitar with no vision or intention or feeling, he just out there making noise. So we establish off the bat that he basically ain't shit, and she over here crying over a dude who clearly living off of her rent free. You know he ain't paying no bills, he ain't that cute, who knows when and if he ever showers, and he still had to be the one to leave, not her. Girl, you should have been the one to give that deadbeat the boot.
The boot?
Should have been.
God damn it, this is why I never wear these boots.
Anywho, so then of course he goes to crash with his sister, another woman he leeches off of to avoid ever having to grow up. Lots of, oh no, that's so inappropriate for children jokes and antics. And then he meets Miss Caroline, Felix's super sweet teacher, who he immediately develops a crush on and finagles his way onto Felix's school trip to the nearby petting zoo, which is inexplicably right next to a US military testing site. Because of course it is. So okay, on its face, I guess a story that challenges its male protagonist to finally grow up by making him responsible for the lives of a bunch of little children ain't so bad. I just have a challenge for my fellow writers.
For once, just to shake things up, just to shake the table, really break formula here, write a story about a man's emotional growth and maturity without rewarding him with a girl at the end.
I was really hoping they'd skirt right past that with her engagement, but then it turned out the engagement was called off ages ago. She just wears the ring to fend off flirty dads because Audrey the Caroline is the local baddie around these parts. Real hot girl shit. But they end up together in the end after all. And they bond because she was also a wild child in her early adult years, going so far as to run off to Australia being a total groupie. And that's how she got here. So that's where they find common ground. But it's like, yeah, she was in her early 20s when she got her shit together. And it didn't take a zombie outbreak to get her there. She just got a job. This is a grown-ass man. So like, still. I get that this isn't supposed to be a groundbreaking film by any means, but I think there's a difference between harmless formulas like zombie outbreak starts from shady government testing and formulas like guy wins the girl that push the idea that men are entitled to women. I know that might sound like a stretch or a reach, but at the same time, given the violence we see being thrust onto women from men every single day, or maybe you don't see it, which is why it sounds like a reach to you, I think even when we're writing whimsical stories like this one, we should be cautious about leaning on formulas like that.
And lastly, just some highlights, just some smaller moments that caught my attention for one reason or another. Josh Gad as Teddy McGiggles is just absolutely ridiculous. I mean, it's pretty par for the course that the kids show host characters will always tend to be the worst, but my god, he is the worst of the worst. And this very much felt like a way for him to push away from his, I won't say he has a squeaky clean image, but it very much feels like it's capitalizing on the fact that he's associated with kids' movies. You know, just glancing at his filmography, and it's like, you know, the big one, Frozen, but then also Beauty and the Beast, and Artemis Fowl, and Pixels, and Angry Birds. And so he very much seems to have a brand. And admittedly, I don't know much about him, so I could be 100% wrong. But if this is the case, it would explain why they went with him instead of, say, oh, I don't know, Jermaine Clement. I didn't realize it until I was watching this movie that he looks like an American version of Jermaine Clement. And so when I realized the movie itself was Australian, I was like, well, damn, y'all imported not one but two American actors when y'all could have just went down the street in New Zealand, knocked on the door and asked to borrow Clement right quick. I poke fun, but Gad was genuinely great in this movie. He was absolutely despicable and absolutely out of his mind. Again, it's so funny to me that it's just a U.S. military testing site. Like, no specificity beyond that, just U.S. military testing site. Just to make the point clear. I feel like in U.S. movies it'd be like, oh no, our scientists fucked up. But then in movies from other countries it's also like, oh no, the U.S. scientists fucked up. Because that's literally the plot to The Host. That whole thing happens because of U.S. military scientists tinkering around in one of their little bases that they got in the country. But while we're talking about it, The Host, Bong Joon-ho, amazing director, amazing film. Check it out if you get a chance.
Speaking of amazing South Korean movies though, that final scene, where they're driving towards the military with the zombie hordes behind them, and the military dudes in front of them are talking about opening fire, but then they hear the singing, it was like a comedically stressful version of the extremely not funny, but still extremely stressful ending to Train to Busan. Now, if you've never seen Train to Busan, it is easily one of, if not the best zombie movie ever made. It has one of my many husbands in it, Ma Dong-suk, and baby, when I tell you I was sobbing the entire final act. And so this ending has pretty much the same structure, you know, the same source of tension as that one. It's just comedic instead of stressful. And that's all I got for you today. You know, admittedly, I didn't have a lot of deeper stuff about life, the universe, and everything to pull from this movie, but it was just a fun movie and a great vehicle for Lupita to really show off her charm and her more playful side, so love that for her. Just, you know, moving forward, let's challenge ourselves a bit to write stories about men's growth that don't reward them with a girl at the end. You know, just shake that up and elevate it a bit. That's all. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, hit that like button to show some love. Feel free to leave a comment down below. And while you're at it, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you never miss another one. Check me out on Twitter and Coffee for more ways to stay up to date and show support. Take care of yourselves and each other. And I'll see you in the next video.